Live from KSAT12, the news at noon starts right now.
Late breaking news this noon. Governor Greg Abbott holding his ground, saying he will not be ordering floating barriers at the border to be removed from the river.
Abbott wrote in a letter to President Joe Biden following last week's DOJ request to remove those barriers. In it, he says, quote, "Texas will see you in court, Mr. President," end quote. The Justice Department told Texas last week that it intends to file legal action against the placement of those barriers.
Now, the Justice Department gave Texas until this afternoon to commit to the removal of the floating border barriers or face legal action. The White House responded to Abbott's decision by slamming his actions as, quote, "dangerous and unlawful," end quote.
Meanwhile, at the border right now, bipartisan efforts are underway to construct and expand international bridges along the Texas-Mexico border.
So these efforts aiming at strengthening economic ties facilitate smoother cross-border travel. Our Jonathan Cotto joining us live from Laredo. Now, Jonathan, several state and local officials gathering to discuss the importance of expediting the approval of 4 bridge projects. What can you tell us right now?
That's right, Max, and I can tell you there seems to be a sense of urgency in initiating this World Trade Bridge expansion project here in Laredo. Now, as we know, Laredo is the busiest port of entry in the United States, in the entire country. I can show you right now, just on the other side of this international bridge, there is a lot of traffic, and it is said to have received an increase in traffic, at least since the bridge's inception in 2020. Now, U.S. Senator Ted Cruz and Congressman Henry Cuellar, again, just wrapping up that conference here at the World Trade Bridge. They form part of the bipartisan effort of speeding the approval of 4 bridge projects along the Texas-Mexico border. This is an effort of also requiring them to secure presidential permits that are needed to begin construction projects. But right now, Senator Ted Cruz says there are some bureaucratic roadblocks. In order to begin any construction, presidential permits are required, and getting one requires an environmental review that both Cuellar and Cruz say can take years. Now, Cruz says, quote, "Unfortunately, the Biden administration turned that upside down." He says they implemented a new policy where now that they can't grant any presidential permits to new bridges or expanding bridges until after the environmental review is completed. Now, Cuellar says bridges are an economic lifeline for border communities that have a significant economic impact on the state and the country. He says last year they saw more than $863 billion in trade just between the U.S. and Mexico. And he says every minute that this bridge is here, they are making millions of dollars of trade between U.S. and Mexico bridges. So he says bridges, of course, are very, very important. Now, the proposed World Trade Bridge expansion here is going to require 8 additional lanes that will total 16 lanes here in Laredo. And this is a project that both Senator Cruz and Congressman Cuellar expect to have by the end of the year. Reporting live in Laredo, Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Jonathan. Meantime, we're right on target. We always say 92 degrees at noontime.
Look at that. I mean, the crazy part, not a cloud in the sky. Did you get any rain over the weekend?
I did, but you know, my horses did not, and they could use it.
Oh, yeah, but it was nice for some of us yesterday, right?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't get any rain in my house, but I know some folks did. Some good numbers, too. The rain was so beautiful, and it kept us under 100 yesterday. How about that? One day, though, because we're going to jump right back above that mark today. Let me take you outside. Very little cloud cover here in San Antonio. We've got a lot of blue skies, in fact, and temperatures are racing upwards. 92 at the airport, but it feels like 97. 92 in Seguin feels like 99. That 95 in Del Rio feels like 101. So yes, temperatures are jumping up, and so too are those heat index values. Let me show you the visible satellite pictures. So no cloud cover here, but you get down to the coast, and yes, we start to see some clouds. And some of these clouds could bubble up into a couple of showers for places like Gonzales, Beeville, and Victoria. 93 in Victoria right now, 91 in Gonzales, 91 in Kerrville. Around Bexar County, we're in the low 90s at this hour. Let me show you that the risk of showers and storms today. It's a low risk, I'd say about 10%, and it's going to be right along the coast. That's the best we can do with a little bit of sea breeze action later today. The rest of the forecast looks hot and potentially a little dusty. We'll talk about the threat for some Saharan dust moving in. That's coming up in just a couple minutes, guys.
Thank you, Justin. To an active silver alert Have you seen this woman on your screen? This is 75-year-old Olga Martinez. Now, she was last seen almost a week ago. She's 5'2", brown hair, brown eyes. She does have a medical condition. If you have any information that can help find her, you're asked to call San Antonio Police. That number on your screen at 210-207-7660.
And we have a new silver alert that went out overnight. Have you seen this guy? 69-year-old Leonard Wilson vanished on Sunday afternoon near a gas station outside of Hempstead, northwest of Houston. Wilson is described as 6'1", 210 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. He was wearing a purple shirt with blue jeans and beige shoes. He was also driving a silver Chevrolet Malibu. This is the license plate number. It is RFT 9606. If you know where he is, call Hempstead Police. The number on your screen. Oh, it's actually not on your screen. Let's call it 979-826-3332.
Well, now to an important recall to tell you about. A San Antonio brand recalling 2-pound packages of pulled pork that were sold at H-E-B. Nueva Garcia Foods recalling 4,784 pounds of meat due to misbranding and an undeclared allergen. Now, the packages are labeled H-E-B Smokehouse Fully Cooked Smoked Seasoned Pulled Pork with Barbecue Sauce. Now, the recall states soy was not listed on the pulled pork product, even though it was used in the cooking process. If you have any questions, we have all that information right now. Just go to KSAT12.com. The story will be on the homepage. And today, the court docket for Precinct 4 Justice of the Peace Michelle Garcia canceled, all due to a malfunctioning air conditioner unit in the office space. People who were scheduled to appear in that court today, you are going to receive a notice in the mail with a new court date.
3 of 6 family members killed, 2 adults and a child. That's why Chief Charles Hood with the San Antonio Fire Department is expected to hold a press conference this afternoon for that deadly house fire which happened over the weekend. Those family members' names have not been released. That fire happening around 3 in the morning Saturday at a home on Winding Oak Drive on the city's north side. The cause of the fire not revealed. Chief Hood expected to give us an update on the case at around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Cars, jewelry, and a whole lot more seized by police, now going on the auction block. There's about 100 items that are going to be up for bid on Wednesday at the VFW post at 9186 650 VFW Boulevard on the city's far south side. It starts at 6:30 on Wednesday evening. The doors open at 5:30. Payments only accepted by cash or card. If you'd like some more information on what's going up for bid, you can call the SAPD auctions number.
All right, how about them Cowboys headed to Oxnard today? That's when they report. We're going to break down the full schedule, talk about what this possibly new look offense is going to look like.
The effort to remove U.S. soldier Travis King from North Korean custody still going on. Why officials think, though, they are making some progress.
Welcome back. The city of San Antonio suing the state of Texas over that new law that says it would drastically curtail cities and even counties' power.
It's called the Death Star bill by opponents. Reporter Garrett Berger explains how House Bill 2127 would prevent cities from using or enforcing any ordinances that would affect state law. He's live at City Hall with more. You've been briefed, Garrett.
Absolutely. Now, the city's argument is essentially that this is an unconstitutional law that tries to prevent cities like San Antonio from exercising their powers as home rule cities across a wide swath of state law. Now, city officials have been vague about how specifically they think this could prevent them from enforcing ordinances, but they say that's because the law itself is vague, and it would allow them to be sued over a broad variety of subjects, including evictions or employment benefits. Now, cities already aren't allowed to enact rules that go against state laws, but the city attorney says this would prevent cities from passing laws that are even on the same subjects, covered within entire portions of state law like finance, insurance, labor, or property codes. Now, the city's now intervening on a lawsuit the city of Houston had already filed in Travis County, so it will have the same court and the same judge. San Antonio is asking that judge to shut down the general preemption element of the bill. Now, even if the city didn't sue, the law likely would have made it end up in court anyway. It allows people to take the city to court if they think the city has gone against this new preemption law. So the city says that if this goes into effect, the question of what is allowed or not would be settled in court one way or the other. Now, as of right now, we asked the city attorney if any other Texas cities were joining this lawsuit. He said that as of this moment, he does not know of any other. So it is the city of Houston and now the city of San Antonio. Live at City Hall, I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT12 News.
Thank you, Garrett. An American soldier who jumped into North Korea last week from South Korea without authorization may be coming back. ABC's Faith Abube reports the United Nations command now talking with North Korea to secure that soldier's release.
Overnight, the first signs of potential progress in the urgent effort to free U.S. soldier Travis King from North Korean custody. After days of silence, the United Nations command says North Korea is now engaging in talks about King, who, according to the Pentagon, willfully ran across the heavily armed border between South and North Korea without authorization.
The conversation has commenced with the KPA through the mechanisms of the armistice agreement.
Lieutenant General Andrew Harrison declining to provide any details surrounding the talks due to concerns about harming the sensitive discussions.
The primary concern for us is Private King's welfare.
The 23-year-old had just been released after 47 days in a South Korean detention facility for assault and was supposed to return to the U.S. to face more punishment. U.S. efforts to reach North Korean authorities to secure his release have been ignored. Congressman Michael McCall, chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, telling ABC News that he's concerned that North Korea will demand concessions from the U.S. before releasing King.
We see this with Russia, China, Iran. When they take an American, particularly a soldier, captive, they exact a price for that, and that's what I worry about.
Meantime, tensions remain high between the U.S. and North Korea as the U.S. military shows support for South Korea. A U.S. nuclear-powered submarine arriving in South Korea today. It comes days after the USS Kentucky, a nuclear-capable ballistic submarine, docked in the Korean peninsula for the first time in 40 years. Hours after the U.S. nuclear-powered submarine arrived, Japan's Ministry of Defense saying North Korea launched a possible ballistic missile. And as for King, U.S. officials still don't know where he's being held or his condition, but the UN Deputy Command says that he remains optimistic about the talks. In Washington, Faith Abube, ABC News.
Back here at home, taking a live look out at the Alamo City. All right, so we see a couple clouds there, and it was the clouds and rain yesterday really keeping us from hitting that strange line of demarcation, the 100-degree mark. But Justin, you were saying that if we did hit it, it really would have set off a record day amount of 100-degree days.
You're right. The streak would have continued, and that streak would have been long. We were already in second place, but we would have been working our way up towards first place for the longest streak of 100-degree days. That ended yesterday. We got up to 99. It's a difference of 1 degree. But yes, the rain helped yesterday. It also pushed mold up. I'm going to show you that number in just a second. First, the aquifer down, 629.3, not a good number. This is the number, though, everyone's concerned about today. Look at the moles, 19,130 in the very high category. We'll talk about some dust that may be headed our way, too, coming up.
Welcome back. Happy Monday. So we're coming off the weekend. How's the weekend?
Well, I was a little under the weather.
Okay.
So and that was perfect because the rain came and it was beautiful and it smelled good.
I want to blame the mold, actually, for feeling under the weather.
That could be because mold is crazy today.
It was, I was really surprised to see that number. I thought it might jump up some, but for it to go to 19,000. That is headache-inducing for sure. One thing that also can bother folks is the Saharan dust. We see it every summer. It can cause some asthma and allergy issues if you're sensitive to that kind of thing. Although, for the most part, it doesn't have a ton of effects on us here at the surface. This stuff is mainly elevated and way up in the atmosphere. But you will notice some hazy conditions and sometimes some colorful sunrises and sunsets. And I think that's what we have coming our way starting tomorrow. So we're going to fast forward here and jump into Tuesday, and you see that we start to get some of that dust coming in here, and then it kind of spreads over top of us Wednesday and as we get into Thursday. So there is going to be some dust around this week that we're going to have to contend with. Just a heads up there, and mostly it should be a moderate. We're not going to see a ton of issues here, but Wednesday and Thursday, again, we may see some of that dust around. Just a heads up. Here is our ridge of high pressure that has been bringing all the heat, and it's centered over the Four Corners region. It's still going to be in place, and in fact, it's still going to have a lot of control over our weather going forward. It's going to shift back to the east a little bit, and that pretty much takes away our rain chances. Yesterday, yes, it was so very nice to see that, but it's basically going to keep the rain relegated to the coast today. So south and east of San Antonio, yes, we could see a few showers and storms pop up, but mainly here in San Antonio, it's just going to be a dry forecast and a very hot one. 102, the forecast site today, that feels like number 105. That puts that into the extreme category. The heat indices will be quite high across the area. We're thinking maybe 105, 106 here in San Antonio with the humidity that we have in place. 106 is what it may feel like in Pleasanton, 103 in Hondo, 103 in Uvalde. And it is another CPS Energy yellow day. Just a heads up there. We got to do a little bit of conservation, 3 to 8 p.m. You know the drill with the situation that we're in right now. So that probably does not change. And yes, the streak of 100-degree days ended yesterday at 15. We finished in second place, but we're going to pick right back up today. We're forecasting 102. This is a calendar showing our high temperatures this month, and I've put the numbers down for the days in which we reached 100 or higher, and that totals 16. Our hottest day being 106. So what a month it has been. We'll keep that going as high pressure, as I said, kind of drifts back to the east a little bit. There is a disturbance that works across deep south Texas as we get into the weekend. That may kick off a stray shower or two, but we don't really expect much from it Friday and Saturday, just a 10% chance. So small chance today along the coast with the sea breeze, and then we'll have those small chances Friday and Saturday. Otherwise, it's a hot forecast. And we're going to put together another streak of triple-digit heat, guys.
We are almost through with the month of July, but the road work in the Alamo City is just ramping up, folks. So just make sure to plan ahead because there's stuff that's happening that could impact your drive time. I want to start here with Loop 410 over on the west side of San Antonio. We have overhead signs that are going to be removed on Monday, July 24th. This takes us until Thursday, July 27th, Friday, Junior. The work starts overnight. It's 9 in the evening to 5 in the morning. So if you're a late night owl or early bird commuter, just plan ahead. What we'll see out there are alternating full closures of the main lanes. That's in both directions, guys, from Old Pearsall Road to Ray Ellison Drive. Not the only thing that's taking place. Remember, we still have stuff going on here along State Highway 151 over on the west side of San Antonio. That road work is expected to also begin on Tuesday, July 25th, but it wraps quickly Wednesday, July 26th. Starts around 9 in the morning and hopefully will wrap at 3 in the afternoon. Single lane closures on the eastbound frontage road from Petranco Road to Ingram Road. One more for you here along I-10 on the east side of Bexar County. Overhead sign replacement. Now, this has been current since will be current starting on Sunday, July 30th, pardon me, and will wrap on Friday, August 4th. Gosh, can't believe we're talking about August. 9 in the evening to 6 in the morning. Be on the lookout. Full westbound main lane closures from Scenic Loop to FM 1516. A lot of words there coming at you, so do yourself a favor and scan this QR code. Takes you directly to our KSAT traffic page. There is a whole lot else you can read about that's taking place along our roadways. Plan that commute ahead of time.
Thank you, Stephen. All right, time to talk football. Cowboys in Oxnard, new season, new offensive coordinator, new goals. Could we break a streak that we saw since 1995? Plus, speaking of new looks, new look Texans and a new starting quarterback, the Rook. We're going to explain in just a bit.
Football coverage brought to you by Davis Law Firm.
Happy Monday, and a Monday for the ages. The Cowboys back in Oxnard, reporting to training camp today. Dak Prescott ready to lead what could be a new look offense, hopefully with fewer interceptions, more touchdowns, and it's an offense that could look a lot different. Dak even going on the record this offseason saying, I won't have 10 interceptions this year. Let's see if that comes to fruition. Remember, right now, no Zeke, Tony Pollard, coming off that surgery, may have a chip on his shoulder. He didn't get a new deal. The offensive line may be missing Zach Martin, who wants more money, understandably so, because he's been the best and most consistent offensive lineman for the Cowboys for the last 9 years. And another possible issue on the line, former Steel Knight and Texas Tech Red Raider Terrence Steele coming off a knee surgery. We don't even know if he's going to be ready for the start of camp. Plus, new offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer. Of course, if you're a Cowboys fan, all the optimism in the world that the Cowboys can get back to the Super Bowl this year. The first Super Bowl appearance, hopefully, since the 1995 season. Our Larry Ramirez reporting from camp tomorrow along with players and coaches. Here's a look at the schedule. All right, so we got important Camping with KSAT key dates today. Everyone arrives. Tomorrow, State of the Cowboys. Wednesday, the first practice. Friday, we get a walkthrough. Saturday, the beautiful opening ceremony. And then Sunday, the day I'm most excited for, Jerry Jones sitting down with Larry Ramirez, and we get to see that interview on instant replay. All right, speaking of new look Texans. New head coach, new quarterback, new linebacker. All right, they're at training camp in Houston, indoor facility. It's been a while since there's been optimism and excitement about the team, but that's what happens when you hire a new high-energy head coach, DeMeco Ryans, and getting his guy, top quarterback. Let's go. All right, so we also got a huge impact already. We're seeing the energy, the excitement. It is electric over there. Texans, they are young. Starting quarterback, C.J. Stroud, number 2 overall pick from Ohio State. And right now, he's listed as the number 1 quarterback on the depth chart. They open camp Wednesday, practices at 9 a.m. You got to beat the Texas Heat. 8 open to the public. We'd love to see that. First open practice, Friday the 28th. You do need a ticket. You have questions? We have those answers on KSAT12. So, taking a look. I'm excited about the Texans, the way I explained it. I think the Cowboys will win more games, but I want to see the Texans play because I like C.J. Stroud in college.
Is he related to the Stroud that used to be one of the coaches for the Saints?
Possibly. You know what? Look at that connection. That's that NOLA connection.
I know a little about
You know a lot.
All right, we got to take a peek at Market Square. Looks like more amazing food. Something perfect to go with.
Oh.
National Tequila Day.
Cheers.
I love tequila. Good tequila.
Okay.
All right, he's got some. We want to get you up to date on the investigation into an Ohio traffic stop that ended with an unarmed man being attacked by a police dog. ABC's Rena Roy reports it happened while he was surrendering to police with his hands up. We warn you that you may find the video a bit disturbing.
Do not release the dog with his hands up.
Disturbing body camera video shows the moments an Ohio police officer ordered his dog to attack an unarmed suspect who was already surrendering to authorities with his hands up and on his knees after a highway chase. Police say on July 4th, officers tried pulling over 23-year-old driver Jadarius Rose for a missing mud flap on his semi-truck. Authorities say Rose refused, instead starting a chase. Several departments joining the pursuit. Police dashcam video shows Rose veering to the right, forcing a highway patrolman to the shoulder. The footage also shows Rose pulling over when officers order him out of the truck at gunpoint. He takes off again. About 7 minutes later, officers slow the truck down using spike strips. Rose exiting the vehicle, hands in the air, complying with commands. K-9 officer Ryan Speakman from the Circleville Police Department approaching with his police dog.
Do not release the dog with his hands up.
This Ohio highway patrolman repeatedly warned Speakman against using the dog. Speakman then appearing to command it to attack.
Get the dog off of it!
Rose arrested as officers provide first aid.
Nobody's trying to hurt you.
Just let a dog bite him.
Later, you hear the Ohio highway patrolman talking to fellow officers about his command not to use the canine.
Is that not loud enough?
You said it 3-4 more times.
Circleville police are not commenting on the video, only saying the incident is under investigation by the Use of Force Review Board. It's not clear whether the officer's responsibilities have changed at all during the investigation. Rose faces a 4th-degree felony for failure to comply. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
And gun violence continues across the country. There have been more than 400 mass shootings so far this year, all according to the latest data from the Gun Violence Archive. That's more than half of the total from 2022. Over the weekend, 1 person died, 4 more injured after gunfire erupted in Houston. And in Florida, 5 people injured from shots fired at a bar in Tampa. Meanwhile, in Chicago, a rash of shootings over the weekend. The city's police department says at least 6 people shot and killed, more than 20 more injured.
HIV patients facing a higher risk of heart disease. Now people with HIV may have a new tool, though, to help their heart against the virus. According to a new study for a drug that could reduce heart complications by up to 35%. The findings are based on more than 7,700 HIV-positive people between 40 and 75 years old who were taking antiretroviral medication. It's called pitavastatin. It is used to lower high cholesterol. And researchers say, according to a phase 3 clinical trial, it appears to protect as well from issues involving heart attacks, heart failure, and strokes. HIV weakens the body's immune system. It can cause patients to be vulnerable and potentially fatal diseases.
So we know the heat here in San Antonio, but it has been so hot in Arizona that doctors are actually seeing a spike in patients being burned simply by falling on the ground there. People in Maricopa County being brought into the ER with significant, sometimes even life-threatening burns. Now, the director of the burn center there says all 45 beds have patients in them. A third of the patients are those who fell and burned themselves on the ground. Also, burn patients in the ICU, about half of them, people who were burned after falling. Now, this record heat wave has made the area even hotter than usual, even for Arizona. Because of its density and the dark color, the asphalt can get up to, get this, 180 degrees at certain times. Obviously, it can cause a burn to the skin in just a fraction of a second. And extended contact, that can cause third-degree burns.
Okay, so here's the bright side, not the hotter side. Well, kind of the hotter side.
Hotter side.
I have a brother who lives in Arizona and is living through all of that in the Tempe area. Did you know that they have to put on an oven mitt to open their car doors?
Wow. Yeah, to touch the steering wheel as well.
Yes, they actually have gloves they wear in the summertime.
But you know what we say about the temperatures in Arizona and Nevada, right? It's a dry heat. It's just a little more humid.
It doesn't work here. It's sorry.
Oh man, we always like to make that comparison, but it has been very hot here as well. And I want to show you a picture. This is cool. So this is a Texas spiny lizard, which I've seen a lot of this summer. But they're trying to stay cool too. I've never seen one get into a pool, but there you go. It's happening. Just chilling in the pool and perhaps trying to stay in the shade a little bit too. It's a great shot. We appreciate it. Everybody trying to stay cool in this weather. We have heat advisories posted across parts of Texas. Excessive heat warnings here, where Ursula was talking about, across parts of Arizona and California, where those temperatures are just so very high. In fact, this afternoon, it'll be 112 in Phoenix, 120 in Death Valley there, 109 in Las Vegas. Not as high as it has been, but still incredibly hot. And here around Texas, we're talking 102 San Antonio, 105 in Laredo today. I want to pass this along once again. If you missed it earlier, this is important. Molds jumped way up today. 19,130. They are in the very high category. In our forecast, 100 at 3 o'clock. We'll be up around 102 for a high, mostly sunny. There is a small chance of a shower to south and east of San Antonio as we head into the afternoon. Guys.
Thank you, Justin. More than 2,000 people were evacuated in the Greek island of Corfu due to a large wildfire. It broke out yesterday in the northeastern part of the island. 17 areas were ordered to protectively evacuate. As a result, the fire service also said no property damage has been reported so far. In roads where fires have been raging for about a week now, one of the fronts has rekindled in the village of Akispio. I think I said that right, in the southern part of the island. In any event, a lot of tourists there. Over the weekend, tourists and residents escaped the fires near popular hotel resorts by foot, by bus, and by sea, trying to find safety in other parts of the island.
Well, lawmakers in Israel passing what some say is a controversial bill, and it's meant to reform the country's judicial system. ABC's Ines de la Catera reports that this comes despite that widespread protest that we've been seeing for months.
In one of the most crucial votes in modern Israeli history, Israel's parliament voting in favor of a controversial bill aiming to strip the Supreme Court of its ability to overrule and strike down government decisions. The bill passing by a vote of 64-0 after opposition lawmakers walked out of the session in protest. This amid widespread turmoil from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, now expected to intensify. Tens of thousands taking to the streets, some marching from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, camping out outside the Knesset overnight, saying the bill could harm the country's checks and balances and threaten Israel's very democracy.
We're here to protect our democracy. We were left with no choice but to go to disobedience.
The government argues the High Court has too much power. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, freshly released from the hospital after having a pacemaker installed, making it a point to attend.
I came here to support democracy. Democracy means the rule of the government elected by the people.
And some Israeli military reservists are vowing to stop reporting for duty, while Israel's largest union is threatening to declare a general strike, which could affect tourism, air travel, and public transportation. Inez de la Quatera, ABC News, London.
A local business rolling out a brand new idea to help save their shop. Details on the subscription service they're looking to offer if you love bagels.
Plus, finding ways to cool off in this heat, it may be a case of mind over matter. How getting a jump on the holiday season has folks beating the summer blues, brought on by this excessive heat.
Twitter's new owner has big plans for the social media app, and his latest effort kicking off by kicking the bird off his logo. What could be in store for Twitter next?